Hello and welcome to another episode of our SF Radio. I am your guest, Nogarremi, coming at you live on the mic because Joe had a bit of work to do. And joining me as the second guest is Mr. SrirachaFlash. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I've had better days, but it's finals week for me, so the stress levels are high. The time that I need to put into studying is high. Everything is high. The stress is high, but I'm almost done. I'm almost out of school entirely, so just a little bit longer, and then I'll be good.
Just that final push. The final push is all you need. We'll get through this. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, I just have uh, fall semester, and that should hopefully be it. That'll hopefully be the end of all of my school worries, and then I'll be able to join the workforce and have work worries and go from
Oh,
there and paying back
crushing
loans.
stress and disappointment and deadlines. Listen, you can't wait for it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know what I was missing from school. Um, so, but I am looking forward to no longer actively taking out debt every single year. I'm happy to at least end that part, and not so happy to start paying it back.
Oh my! Listen, you say that. We're actually in the process of buying a house right now, and that is just mountains of debt on top of debt that I didn't even know about. I guess because it just appears out of nowhere. It's
Oh,
incredible,
yeah,
and then it's just
I can
paperwork on
imagine.
paperwork on paperwork. Don't ever just stop at college. Everyone just stop at college. Don't do anything else. Just stay in college forever.
Yeah, just be there forever, but not too long because otherwise they start looking at you and being like, "Why are you here? Go home." Um, but speaking about everything costing money, r slash Street Fighter is is trying to send two people out to Combo Breaker with Diddy Mokoff and Mike Too Strong. Both these players won the voting that we did a couple of weeks ago, and we have a lot of really cool merch that I unfortunately can't show off, but you guys can definitely check it out at the
Yeah,
Match Arena.
yeah, it's great. Diddy Mokov has the Yoga Anvil God shirt, which is incredible. Mike Too Strong, Zangief pile driving the controller, amazing. I love the designs, but the most important thing of all, the varsity jacket.
The varsity jacket, brick not included. You got to get your
Uh,
own brick, but
a small price to pay for a jacket that clean. It's incredible.
that jacket looks sick. Unfortunately,
I
it
was very jealous. Joe showed up to the Monday tournament rocking that jacket. Very, very.
dude,
Oh, I'm
it is
very
slick.
jealous.
Unfortunately, it's also turning to summertime and not the time that you should be wearing jackets. Um,
Look, we're our Street Fighter, not our planning. Okay, we're not in the business of scheduling for the future. We're in the business of looking good. Look good, play good. That's a very important thing.
I agree. I agree. There is a couple of other things that you can get on this match arena, like Daigo's The Will to Keep Winning, or a lovely copy of Geef's Gym on Volume 3, or Edition 3, third edition.
Yeah, third Geese Gym, third strike, the green edition, the green hand edition. It's
Yeah,
wonderful. I actually just picked up a copy not too long ago, and honestly, guys, I don't mean, if you're listening to me, if you're listening to this show, you've heard the Geese Gym before, you've seen the breakdowns. Even though Joe posts hyperlinks in the book itself, it's a great book to pick up and read. It's wonderful.
yeah, and even if you don't want to pick up the book, even to support, sending people to Combo Breaker, all of the information available online for you to just peruse on, reddit.com/r/Street Fighter. Um, it's all there. I think it's one of the links in the top bar somewhere. Definitely go check it out. It's a great way to get better at the game. And
Yeah, it's a very very handy guide. Cannot recommend it enough.
yeah, speaking of a handy guide, we had uh, what was his name?
Never knows best.
Never knows best. I was gonna say no one knows best, which didn't make sense to me. But Never knows best released a beautiful, in-depth photos and frame data, and like this is like talking about good habits and bad habits. Like he goes through a full guide of Ken,
the
everything
the
you could ever imagine.
the Shoryu Anamicon
The
is
Shoryu Namicon.
that's actually in the guide. That's AKA the Shoryu Namicon, AKA what's he called? The Unga no Hado or something like that. It's
Unga no Hado.
Yeah, the Ungo no Hado. It's incredible. The flowcharts that he has in there, for spacing, for corner Oki, for mid screen Oki, it's I haven't seen a breakdown like this in a while.
It's second to none. We came really close with the Rainbow Mika guide. That was like really big in like season 2.
Okay.
And it was pretty in depth, but the level of polish that this has.
It's great. It has like little side notes that they call shenanigans at the bottom with just like miscellaneous Ken things that you can do but maybe not should do, but just wild little mix-ups. It's
yeah,
incredible.
some Ken things you can do.
Yeah, some Ken things that you can do. Yeah.
We all know the Kens.
Yeah.
DP after
yeah,
a blocked heavy kick.
He has frame data. I mean, everyone's seen frame data. Everyone has the FAT app, but like to be able to see this like side by side with a visual guide of where your attacks are going to be, what they can do, the max damage, stun. It's honestly, I can't believe that he did it and he put it out for free. Like he straight up was just like, here it is. You can download it here. My Patreon's attached to this, but you don't need to support it, but you should.
Yeah,
you honestly should. For the level of work that went into this, there's no reason you can't throw him a couple dollars.
Like he had to have been working on this like 6 months, like at least in advance, if not longer, to just like to compile it all. It's a work of art. I'm just in awe. It really makes you wonder, like, can am I able to do this for my character? Do I understand my character to the point where I can write an in-depth guide that's how many pages long? 71 pages long.
71 pages, and like, oh man, we have shout out to Monkey Unit in the Abigail Discord.
Mm-hmm.
He does breakdowns like this, and I think he could put this together, but like even then it's a monumental feat, and not to take anything away from Never Knows Best, because it is not a lot of people would do it. I don't think that most of us have the knowledge to do it. Like I know Abigail run and then crouch heavy punch to flip, and then whatever happens from there, I suppose.
Yeah. I definitely want to point out, like, none of this is absolutely done alone. He definitely has special thanks in here to the people that helped him out. So if this is something you want to see for your character, maybe you step up and you'll say, look, I need some help getting all the information. I'll come to, the people who know more than me, and, ask them to write something, or like, have a conversation with them to get the information. And then you just kind of like are this tool to compile it and to format it and to release it and to, give it the recognition that it deserves.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just one of those things. You just kind of snowball it and start, and eventually you'll create a project. And it definitely helps when you have people that have the same interest in your character that you do, the same level of love for that character. And it shines through in the guide. Like, he obviously loves the Ken character.
Yeah. I think he loves Ken more than I love Ryu, and that's saying something.
That's quite a bit.
I mean, I've played Ryu in literally every single Street Fighter.
That's some dedication. I think I picked up Ryu back when I first picked up Street Fighter 2 when I was about 4 years old, and then since then, I haven't touched him.
Dude, you're missing out.
I know. Look, Baby's first combo was like jump in roundhouse, then like crouching roundhouse, and that got me through arcade mode.
That's all you need sometimes.
It really is.
If it works, why switch it up?
Yeah, exactly.
But speaking about what works and what doesn't work,
oh, the transitions on this, man, incredible.
I listened to way too much Stage Am. and it was really bad when I was on the podcast with Joe making the transitions for Joe. like he was supposed to be leading the podcast, but I'll be like, No, I'm just gonna transition here, and we'll get it.
Well, love you, Joe. Joe likes to ramble, so it's good that we have someone like
Oh,
you.
that's
'Cause
right. We have to go on some tangents. Um,
Oh, yeah. Hold on. All right. Well, oh, we have a do. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
we'll
We
we'll
can't
fit it in.
schedule the tangents. It gets weird.
It does. It has to come up naturally.
Yeah, exactly.
But as I was saying, reaching a skill level, and then feeling you'll eventually feel stuck at a certain point, and it can be hard to kind of break out of that mold, especially when you don't really have a true mentor to you. Like, I feel like Street Fighter is very, or like learning fighting games is very weird, where you don't always have like a direct mentor who taught you everything. Like, you play against some people and you learn some things from them, and then you play against other people and you learn different things, and then like together that's how you learn. And so you don't have that mentor to ask like, hey, I'm having this problem, or like I'm noticing this in my play. Or sometimes you might even get to the point of self-reflection where you feel like there's something wrong with your play. You just feel stagnant. And Sheldon, good old Sheldon Redditing or Sheldon Twitching, he's usually just called Sheldon.
Even goes by Shell Rue, as evidenced by this week in the tournament when he pulled up with his semi Smurf Akuma.
There he has questionable tactics with the amount of accounts he has. He has one for, I believe, almost every single character.
My God.
And on top of that, he has spare like Akuma accounts that he plays on. Like I think he might be like XX Shin Akuma XX. And that's literally just his like troll Akuma account. And oh my goodness, it's frustrating. Like, smurfing is something that I understand from the lower rank perspective, where just like, why are you coming back down here and beating us up? Like, you have your rank, you have your title, you have your characters. If you want to try something new, just go do it up there.
Well, it's like, when you were younger and you would play sports with your friends or games with your friends, something like that, and it'd be like, I'm doing all right, or I'm doing okay, but like sometimes you just got to go beat up on your little brother. You need that easy win. That's why people play games on easy mode. I just want that win. I don't want to work for it.
Or like if you're learning a new character, it's kind of like, definitely. Hey, I want to get through the motion of like practicing combos on like a real person, and like having to like the way that you like practice combos in a lab and the way that they actually apply in a game are kind of different, and like the reaction you have to have, you might be looking for something else to happen, and then your combo hits and you're like, oh, I need to make sure I have the muscle memory in a match to like see these things and like analyze, oh, why did this happen, and is this something that I can consistently do on reaction, or like do I need to like change how I play to get this to happen?
Definitely. And introducing a new character at a higher level that you're not comfortable with is probably not the best way to go about it. I know, even among like the lowly ultra gold and platinum ranks where I usually reside, like I've tried to pick up Sagat and like play with him, and like throwing a character into even that level, it's not the best idea. You kind of need to grow with the character.
Yeah. There's definitely like you'll pick up a new character and then you lose like 3,000 points, and then it's just like, oh my god, so much grinding to do again. And from that perspective, I 100% understand, because I'm like bordering between like super plat, ultra plat, and diamond. I just like keep going back and forth, and it's really frustrating to be like, I don't really have wiggle room to like go down a rank, because if I go down to platinum, then I'm fighting ultra golds again, and I have to. It's just way more of a slog to go through. And that's coming up on the point system of Street Fighter V, which can be a bit of a topic. The point system in Street Fighter V is questionable. It's not great. The fact that as a super platinum, if I lose to a platinum, I lose like 80 points. But if as an ultra platinum I lose to a super platinum, I'll literally lose the same amount of points as if I lost to another ultra platinum. Like I'll lose 67, 68 points.
Yeah. Coming up through the gold ranks when you're like just in super gold and you're feeling good, and someone in gold beats you and you lose 98 and they gain 105, it will drive you insane.
Yeah. And you're like, man, my next 2 wins feel like they mean nothing almost. Like I'm just getting back to where I was.
Yeah, I stare at it and I go, okay, well I can try to beat out a laggy Ken and with a net gain of 8 points, or I can just go back to the drawing board. And usually I kind of go back to the drawing board because it's not, or like you get in a worst case scenario where I hit ultra gold, I hit ultra gold in the match from super gold, knocked the person in super gold down to gold, so now I'm in the position of now I'm ultra gold and they're gold. Do I risk playing this match on the lovely CFN online connection, and then I lose 100 and some odd points? Like
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But getting a little bit back on track, you eventually get to a plateau point in your career no matter where you go. And Sheldon made a great thread talking about where are you stuck in your improvements in Street Fighter V. And like not only did he pose this question, asking whether it was a physical kind of thing, like like doing a combo or like having a reaction, or like a mentality kind of block, like a mental block, or like a concept that you're having trouble understanding. He poses this question and then immediately he doesn't clog up the main post with it, but like he immediately replies to himself with what he was struggling with and like how he feels he might be able to resolve it. Not necessarily that he's looking for other people to resolve their issues, but like just being like, hey, this is what I'm thinking of and how I feel. What are the rest of you kind of feeling like, and like let's see if I can kind of help you. Which I feel is something that's not really discussed as much. Like being open about where you are and like what you're struggling with is, I feel like, it's not just something unique to fighting games. Like that's something in life you can kind of learn of, like, hey, I like opening up to your friends about how you're struggling with work or relationships or school. It's not something that comes naturally to a lot of people.
Right. It's very difficult to be honest with yourself sometimes, but it's something you have to get in the habit of, and you have to look at yourself and reflect and go in and out of things. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I think that's important to watch your replays after a ranked set, or a battle lounge set, casual set, whatever. Go through, watch yourself, and actually take notes. Don't go, well, why didn't this work? Obviously, my opponent does something that's dumb. Like, no, look at yourself and go, why didn't this work? What did I do wrong? And look at, like, you can see yourself falling into tendencies. Like 99 seconds starts, Abigail run. Like, and I see it and I know I shouldn't do it. Like, there's no positive outcome for me from doing it, but you have to recognize it, and you have to be able to be honest with yourself and say, like, am I being lazy? Am I not willing to learn these matchups? Like, what am I doing?
Right. It's definitely, I feel like one of the easiest kind of tropes or like troughs rut to fall into is that blaming your opponent, that, oh, like, why did you, like, oh, that's so stupid, why would you do this here, you're a bad player, and if you were a better player I would win.
Right. Why was Ed mashing L1 in my block string? Well, because he can get away with EXTP. Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, or it's just like, it's not on your opponent to be like, oh, I'm doing something. Like, it's not on your opponent to be like, oh, I'm gonna play smart every second of the round. That's not what this is. At the end of the day, the goal is to grow and get better eventually. But then there's also that winning factor that has to contest with, how do I feel like I'm growing and getting better if I'm not winning? And so, like, sometimes the stupid decisions come from the Hail Mary touchdown passes, trying to, just score that final touchdown, end it before it goes too far. Um, and you kind of have to read those and like pick up on the player tendency. Like, yeah, I know that Ed's mashing, all three punches in my block string. Specifically when I do, this block string, he's looking for it right here. And he sees that I'm delaying it. So he doesn't think I'll push a button rapidly. So maybe you can catch him with something else, or like you just sit there and block until he does it. And those are the mental adaptations you have to make, because there's nothing like physically frame data wrong with what you're doing, and like you're technically making the correct choice frame data wise, but that's not always the correct choice, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's going into matches lately. I found that I give my opponents a lot of respect, and I'm just like, oh, they're gonna play this way and that way, and blah blah blah. And like I have this preconceived notion of like, I've seen a Chun-Li before, like I know how this round is gonna start. And like, here it goes, and like it doesn't, and all of a sudden I'm lost and I'm scrambling because I had this preconceived notion of how this fight was gonna play out, and now I have to adapt on the fly and like discard these thoughts that I have. And you need to enter each match. Don't respect anyone. Like once Brett Bayonne, Shaper of Stories, great follow on Twitter, says this a lot about fighting games, and he somewhat coaches fighting games, and he does talk a lot of this. But his biggest thing is when you're playing against someone and they tell you who they are, believe them. And that sticks with me all the time. Like, someone is going to tell you who they are in that match, and that's not going to change. Believe what they're telling you. What you see on the screen is what they are going to give you, and it's not going to change. Believe them and adapt to that.
Yep. I 100% agree. Give them the credit they deserve and adapt to that. Like, see what they're doing, adapt to that. Don't stop. Get out of your head. Getting out of your own head can be some of the most important, but one of the most important concepts you can kind of understand is like, you can't overthink things and like put yourself in a worse situation, excuse me. And it's so rough once you start digging that hole to dig yourself back out.
Oh, definitely. A couple weeks ago, I had a 102-degree fever, and I was just like, I'm just gonna play some Street Fighter. I'll feel better playing Street Fighter, right? Stupid move, but like, I don't know. The fever, I swear to God, it helped me out. Like, I just wasn't like trying to process so much and keeping it simple. And like, next thing I knew, I think I had like an 11 or 12 fight win streak, and I was like, oh, if I just free myself up from all these thoughts and like this information overload, like it's easy to adapt and see what's in front of you.
See, but then to me, at that point, I get to like, I get above 10 wins in a row, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, I start getting stressed and panicking that I'm winning that much. It's just like, what did I change? It's basically like what I asked myself. And then like, I play for like another hour, and then all of a sudden I'm on like a 13 losing streak, and I'm like, what just happened to me? I was on top of the world, and then I was gone instantaneously.
Oh, listen, I'm not gonna pretend like after this streak I didn't sit there and lose like 20 of my next 24. But for that minute, I felt good.
It's like the minute that you recognize your own success, it's like, oh, I'm winning, is when it all just falls down. And I definitely had that problem for a little bit, where like I would win like the entire round, and then it would not even like V trigger comebacks would get me. It would just be, I would just lose. Like, I would just be too passive at that point, and like just let my opponent control the pace of the entire game.
Right.
And like that, it's like you gotta keep up what you're doing well, and like, yeah, you have to not overcommit, but undercommitting is also really bad. You have to perfectly commit to everything.
Right. And I think the mental part of that comes into a state too, because
like when I'm getting
you start
salty,
building these
I know
little,
on a
like,
logical
walls
level
and
I have
hurdles for
nothing to be
yourself. So,
salty
like,
about.
you'll be on a 7
there's
fight
still
win
that
streak,
emotional
and you come across
override that
somebody
starts
and
taking
they're
control. There's-
1 win or 2 win, and in your head you're like, oh, they would love it if they knocked me off this win streak. Like, you can see it, and like you're imagining them on the other end, like, oh, I knocked off his win streak, and you start to like, that festers in yourself, and you have to free yourself from that. And like,
at
They
this.
don't care about you.
Well, sometimes you can feel them like trying to just like find a way to break you, to take your win streak away from you. They're like, how can I break this man so that he just loses everything? Like completely mental breakdown. It's like, how can I ruin his pressure? How can I ruin his neutral? How can I like jump in on him so that he just feels completely terrible? And that can really lead to you feeling salty.
Oh,
Um,
the first time that I get corpse hopped by Akuma, light Tatsu, oh, immediately my salt levels are through the roof. I'm like, he's only doing this to show off. He
and
doesn't
then you
even know
get demoned,
how to
right?
use this.
As soon as the light kick Tatsu crosses up, and then you're like, what is this guy doing? This guy, why is he doing this? And then like he just lands and demons you, and you're like, oh man, oh man. Makes you just want to like leave the game and never return. Um,
I've I've yet to go dashboard on somebody, but there has been many a time where I'm like, as soon as this fight ends, I'm blacklist. I don't care how good the connection was. I never want to see you again.
ooh, that's some real salt right there. Um, and Brian F had some good words to say about salt.
You are, oh, Nogarremi, incredible,
I
incredible.
I build it into everything. You actually messed up my earlier transition when I brought up salty because you started
Ah,
talking about it, and I was like, no, my transition. I was
but
working so hard. So I had to build it back in as a game plan. It's cool.
beautiful. Look, I appreciate that. While I was rambling along, you were just like, I'm gonna bring this back as soon as he like starts wrapping this up. We're going right into Brian F and his salt level talk.
Yeah, it was short and simple, which I think helps it be very effective.
Yeah, I think it's only like a 7-minute video, 7.5 minute video, but he's very poignant with everything that he put out, and he gets right to the point, and he doesn't mince words about it.
No, because there's no point to. Like he's like, yeah, this is like kind of opening up a discussion, but he's giving his ideas on it and like what he feels about it, and he's going to tell you like straight up how he feels.
Yeah, there's a moment that like really stuck with me, where he was like, you said you've been playing since season 2, like I've been grinding since 2009, like, and you have like essentially he's like, you have the audacity to be salty about this, like take a step back and look at what's happening around you. And I think that was one of the ones where I was like, homie's got a point. Like immediately I was like, I love this video, like it's very good.
Yeah, and there's some things I disagree with. Like that line is very strong, but I don't know. I don't like it because how long you've been doing this doesn't always factor into to how good you are or like your right to be salty in a game. Like all overall, like not overall, like y- how you feel is up to you, and you're allowed to be salty. You can't. You're allowed to have these emotions and feel them.
That's fair. That's very fair.
You do need to vent them properly, and always taking it to Twitter and yelling at people, or like in a Discord and yelling at people, might not be the right decision to make. You might just need to, take a step back, relax, open up a notepad, write down your thoughts of like how you're feeling, kind of reset yourself mentally, and then kind of, if you're still kind of feeling like something's hella busted, that's when, maybe you start a good discussion on it and not a rage filled, something like, this game's all rushed down, there's no defensive options, blah 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 blah.
Look, I don't
It's
have time for your discussion and your discourse, Nogarremi. I have Twitter available to me. I just want to yell at the world. What are you talking about? Who would I sit down with and talk about this? There's no one out there in the world that would want to sit down and talk with me about how awful Street Fighter V is.
nobody.
There-
Nobody. There's look, r/Street Fighter has been running a poll for weeks now on what you want changed in the game. I don't know if it's still running or if Joe shut it down. Nor do I have the link for it. But every it's not even like almost every year. It's like every half year, every 6 months, like we redo this poll and like gather information about like, hey, what do you want fixed in the game? What's wrong with Capcom? Why don't like what is Capcom doing wrong? Like not necessarily like the game is bad, but like, hey, wouldn't you love it if Capcom talked to the community more? Um and like gathering this feedback and putting it in a place where we know, like we definitively know, like Joe has contacts in Capcom that have told him, hey, we look at this, we love you doing this, like this is something that we can't always do as the creator to get involved this way, but to still use the data and try to make their game better. It's something that r/Street Fighter tries to do, and to let the voices be heard. It's super easy. It's like it takes less than 10 minutes to go through the poll. I'd say even less than 5 minutes, depending on like if you're writing any additional comments. You can just like breeze through it and like click the predetermined options and just send it away.
Right. But let me just, can I backtrack for 1 second? I was being facetious. I love Street Fighter V. I ignore my Twitter comments. Let's focus on this for 1 second. That's 100% right. And the time that it would take you to go on Twitter, complain, yell, argue with people back and forth when they, get salty with you because you were mad at the internet and mad at the world, you can go to our Street Fighter. You can take the time, fill out this poll, and send it away. And I know poll taking on the internet. You feel like this equates to nothing. Like I've seen polls and I've seen surveys and they don't amount to anything, but we're really making a community effort here to get your opinions, to send this out to Capcom and say, hey, like not everyone's going to sign up and do this. Capcom or Street Fighter V has thousands and thousands of players. Our Street Fighter has thousands of people, but not everyone gets on every day. Not everyone takes the poll, but we do have a strong, concentrated group of people who feel strongly about this game and things that we can change. So just take the time. Like Nogarremi said, less than 5 minutes. You can breeze through it, send it off. And honestly, that might cure your blues. That might take you away from the salt for a minute to actually be like, you know what? I sent this out to proper channels and official channels. It's out of my system now. Now I can go back and I can watch Jury EXDP me again because I'm dumb.
Man, out of all the characters, Jury? You're complaining about right. Jury EXDPing you?
All right, so I don't want to get into it. Yeah, Jury.
All right. Sure.
Jury. So Brian, it's a fine video. Watch it. As much as I like this video, and I'm sure Nogarremi likes parts in it too, but like Nogarremi said, there are parts that he disagrees with, and that's totally fine. I have parts that I disagree with. And a video like this, I think, is a very important lesson for the FGC to look at and people that watch this video. And I know Brian has a really good following of people who support him and whatnot. But this is definitely a video where you can look at and think critically and go, I see his points. I appreciate the points. I don't agree with all of it. Objectively, this is a good video. And like internalize that stuff. But don't take it to heart and don't repeat it. That's a big thing. I see a lot of rehashed opinions that like I've heard from this guy. Like I'm gonna throw this out there. Like internalize it and like make it your own if you agree with it. But
right, make it. I would say like take what you like, leave what you don't like. It's not, nobody's holding you to it like you have to love all of it or hate all of it. I think we're losing the middle crowd in a lot of discussions because everybody's like, oh, I love it or oh, I hate it, and then like the middle ground for the discussion and like the meat and potatoes of like what should actually like stick with you like throughout it all is is kind of lost in today's generation. Like you go on Twitter, you say 4 sentences or 5 sentences, and you're out of characters. So like the discussion is small, and
Yeah, it's very easy to mouth off. Or you could even go on Twitch, in an online tourney with around 50 to 60 entrants every week, and you can spout things off like, I don't think SrirachaFlash is very good, but he knows what he's doing. And you can just say these things out into the world and expect no repercussions, but sometimes they come back to bite you.
Listen, man. I'm
now
comes full circle back on me. That was a beautiful transition.
Thank you. I was really reaching there and I was running out of gas, but I was like, I'm gonna make it. My Lord, I'm gonna make it back.
You gotta believe in yourself, okay? That's step number 1. And that goes for both your transition and 2, not giving a shit for what other people say about you.
All right, full context. We can't be. This is the full Joe ramble. We're just off in the clouds, off in the weeds, rambling about stuff, and no one has any details. Couple tournaments ago, Joe was doing seeding, and Nogarremi running his mouth.
Yeah, I was like looking through the people in the list, and like you were set to like 8th seed in like this 50 man bracket, and I was just like, he's good, but I don't think he's that good. Or like he knows what he's doing, but I don't think he's that good. Why is he 8th seed? And Joe's response was like, like Joe was very like middle of the road. I'm not getting involved.
Yeah, which was great. And I heard it, and I immediately started laughing because I was like, if there was ever a quote that I legitimately want on my tombstone, that's it. Not very good at what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing. So
and you tweeted it to me.
I tweeted it, and Nogarremi was instantly like
I was backpedaling because I was like, listen, I wasn't trying to insult. Like at this point, I thought I had insulted him because it's very easy to misconstrue things on the internet.
Right.
So like I thought you were very insulted and wanted to. Like I thought you were angry and that like I thought you were very polarized on this situation. Like you either love it or you hate it, and I thought you were on the hate it side. So I was like trying to apologize and like, listen, I know I'm not going to completely apologize for what I said. I said what I said, and I'll stand by it, and I'll run the set and prove it.
No, it was a great moment. And no, after I tweeted it out, and you were like, "Look, man, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but pull up then if you want to prove me wrong." I was like, no, I genuinely thought it was a funny moment. And
it was like something like it was like very rough around the edges. It was like, listen, man, I said what I said. You can prove me wrong.
Yeah. The next day, some friends had like seen it on Twitter, and they're like, yeah, it fucking makes sense. Like that's Jose. Like that's the guy we know. Like he's not the best, but he knows what he's doing, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you really want to settle it, we could settle it in Smash, like Event Hubs wants to do with their new employees.
God. The student becomes the master.
I've learned from the best, and
yeah. So this is very interesting. Settle it in Smash. Man. I also love how it's like a wired connection is recommended.
Yeah. Oh, please, you heathens, like go out. Buy an adapter, buy an Ethernet cable, and hook your Switch up to your router. Please, for the love of God. I say this as someone who plays a lot of For Glory, or not For Glory. I play Smash, I play ranked, whatever. Wire your connections across all fighting games. If I see you playing on Wi-Fi, we're gonna have words. Shout out to Mortal Kombat for exposing everyone playing on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But back to the situation at hand. So Event Hubs put out a job listing. Looking for a new writer for Smash Brothers. It looks like the base pay is probably not going to be that great. I can't say either way.
No, but you do have holiday pay and 2 weeks paid time off.
Now that, oh boy, now we're getting somewhere. Also, if you know Japanese, that's a bonus, but we're not going to grade you too bad on it. But then in the fine details, they have settle it in Smash. You're playing a first to 5 against one of our best, and we just want to see how good you are at the game. And immediately FGC Twitter went, well, we're running with this.
Oh yeah, FGC Twitter did what FGC Twitter does, which is make fun of people.
Yeah, immediately lambasted. Like, I think the initial tweet was just like, LMAO, what? And like thousands of responses and retweets, and everyone's like, I can't believe this. But let me tell you a dirty secret. I'm fine with it. Like, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's as big a deal as the FGC made it out to be.
Oh, 100%. I definitely don't think it's that bad. You want the person who's going to be writing articles on, this subject matter to understand it, and they're trying to make sure that this person has a solid understanding of, what they're doing.
Right.
And it really prevents stuff like a lot of the Sekiro, posts where it's just like, this game is too hard. From Software needs to add like an easy mode. No, that's not what you have to understand what the game is and what its purpose is.
Right.
And how the community works. Like, obviously you get to a certain level, like you have to have been in the community and have, gone to, tournaments to get better and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just a silly moment. But this is, when we were kids, we dreamed about this. Every waking day that you dreamed about working for a video game company, your dream was, oh man, I'd play them in Super Mario World and I'd show them I can beat the whole game in 30 minutes. Like, I know all the routes. Like, this is everything we ever dreamed of. This is a 90s Nickelodeon movie on the orange VHS tape where the kid has to apply to work at a video game company and beat them in Smash Brothers. And we would have lost our minds as kids back in the day. And we would have loved this. But now we're all old and senile. We go, well, that's ridiculous. We can't. There's no way we should have to play a video game to write about video games. That makes no sense.
Yeah. So overall, I think it's Event Hub's doing well. Like, they're making sure that their staff is good. So I don't think we have much more to say about this. I think we're in total agreement. This just makes sense.
100%. And if Event Hubs is committed to making sure their staff is going in the right direction, well, that's a positive change. Anyway,
that's a little hard of a transition. You gotta tone it down.
Oh, all right, okay. Let's see. Where can I go from this? Positive change. Oh boy.
Speaking of positive change, let's talk about Sherry Jennings and what she's trying to do, getting South American, Brazilian, African players out to events and like really, really doing a lot of work for this. Even going as far to like post on Twitter, like, hey, like, who should we really try to, get sponsored and come out here? Right.
And I wanted to bring this up. I threw it in the show notes because I saw her post this on Twitter the other day. And I think it like, even today, it's sitting at like 7 likes and 3 retweets and like not a lot of interaction with it. She was on the show with Joe a couple weeks back, talking about Eat Fight Pass and what they were trying to do. And I just think it's super important. Like, we had the crossover situation last year for Capcom Cup where he was eligible for Capcom Cup, couldn't get the visa to get in, and now he's sitting there with his hands tied. And now the LATAM champion cannot get in, and that's a problem. And Sherry, to all of her credit, is doing wonderful work trying to get these people over here. And if you know someone, or if you have people that are like, these are really skilled players and they have, results to show for it, get a hold of her. Like, this is what she's working for. Like, give her people to bring to the United States to compete so we can see high level players.
Yeah, it's really just opening up accessibility to all players. Like, not just to get them to the United States, but to give them the chance to just get their name out there, maybe get like a more fruitful sponsor, because as good as eFight Pass is at starting this process, it doesn't feel like they're a place to permanently be sponsored by. Like, your goal is like, hey, I'm gonna get in, play in some American tournaments, do damage to people, get known. Like, you knock out like Tokido and like a couple other killers, and like all of a sudden people start knocking at your door and you start getting some offers.
Yeah, eventually you might be sponsored by our Street Fighter, like Diddy Mokov.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Who, by the way, is actually in the States working in Vegas. So that's why his situation is a little different.
But look, I'm just trying to use a foreign player. Nogarremi cut me a break here.
I understand, but I gotta bring it up that
That's
the visa troubles is very different.
Yeah.
Working with him.
Nogarremi's out here spitting facts while I try to be off in the FGC weeds with my hyperbole. This is ridiculous. I can't. What is this show?
Yeah, it's so hard to work with me. I'm hard to talk to. I keep doing all these fancy transitions. Nobody can keep up. It's just so difficult to talk to me.
But you know what's not difficult? Supporting eFight Pass and their wonderful merch that they have. They've teamed up with, I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's something like Kind of Fit, Kind of Fat. They're a clothing apparel, and they have Street Fighter 2 like inspired merch that has like all the countries on it. It's like got like the bright pink atlas of the world. It's a dope shirt and an easy way to be like, yeah, I would love to have foreign players come. Like, if I can throw some money at this and get a t-shirt out of it, absolutely. Like, here you go.
Oh, I see the shirt now. It's actually like the God, I'm blanking. Oh, it's like the Street Fighter 2 map almost.
Yeah, yep.
There we go. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I have to pick one up. I think I'm gonna pick one up and then rock that with my varsity jacket, and I'm just gonna be the coolest guy in all of northern Michigan. It's gonna be
you know, if I didn't spend most of my extra money for the month on that varsity jacket, I would pick up the shirt because it's actually pretty dope.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. I think it's got like a breast panel on the front and like the big design is on the back. Like, I'm a sucker for those designs. Like, anything that has like nothing serious on the front and like something dope on the back, all about it. Like, you'll talk me into that all day, every day.
I prefer to have something dope on the front because then I can look down and be like, oh yeah, I'm wearing a dope shirt.
Oh, all right.
And I also really like to wear like jackets, and so you don't get to see the back design, which I feel is a travesty, but still dope. So yeah, definitely check out eFight Pass. And talking about the E, I don't even know what the E in eFight stands for, but there's also an E in esports. And for those of you who don't know,
boo! That was a bad transition.
That was a bit of a reach. You got me there.
I'm giving you an E for esports. Woo! Let's do this.
I mean, you're rolling now. That's not on me. You stole my transition.
Yeah, I know, that was awful. So I'll let you lead the way with this one.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Gutex has been running the Untitled Esports show for 13 weeks now, and he runs it with one of the Overwatch like community people who goes by Slasher. But this week, the legend, the man who disappeared for a couple of years now, he was back. Good old Mike Ross. We saw him. He was there. He was there talking on the mic for like 3 hours. I have missed this dude so much, especially him and his interactions with other people. The way that he acts is just so.
There's definitely not another Mike Ross out there. Like, he's a
never.
one of a kind guy.
You could never emulate him. The closest person, oddly enough, is Gutex, but they're still very different people.
Right. He showed up at Evo last year on a hitbox playing Guilty Gear.
Yep.
And then went off the map again and then popped up like on the show. And the show, like, even the show description was like Gutex, Slasher, and special guest. And at this point, like, Mike Ross is just the FGC Bill Murray. I'm convinced, like, you know, Bill Murray shows up like at a house party and has a couple drinks and everyone's like, oh my God, we partied with Bill Murray. And Bill Murray's like, no one's ever going to believe you. And I think that's just Mike Ross at this point. Like,
yeah,
Mike Ross playing Melty Blood, like at Combo Breaker. And everyone's like, oh, Mike Ross is here. And then like, he'll just ghost and no one will ever see him again.
That's definitely what it is. Like, Mike Ross will like drive a couple hours to a local, because I like to point this out. He's not left the community. He just doesn't, he's not in front of the camera anymore. He still goes
Right.
to tournaments and like locals occasionally. And it's just like one of the things where like he drives out to like a local. I don't know if he goes to the same one or different ones. And he's just there, and then he's gone. Even Gutek said, coming from us from an undisclosed location. It's Mike Ross. Like we'll never know where Mike is ever again. Although I think he's planning to go to CEO. So if you want to stalk Mike Ross, go to CEO.
It's Fighter Fest. How could Mike Ross not be at Fighter Fest? He's on the guest list. It's impossible for him not to be there.
Oh, watch. That's a true ghost. Is when he's just not there anymore when he's supposed to be there. That's how you really disappear and like never let people know where you're going to be. It's like sign up for things and then just don't show up. You're like, oh yeah, I'll be there, and then you just ghost and you're gone.
Oh my god, the ultimate mix up.
But like the chemistry between Mike Ross and Gutex, it can't be described. Like
it's like watching two old friends who are also like, you ever like meet somebody and you go to their house and they're like, oh yeah, we're having this house party or whatever like that, and then like they introduce you to someone and like they're just talking and hanging out, but like immediately you're part of the group even though you don't know everybody personally. Like that's the way that they interacted. Like immediately you felt like you were hanging out in a room with them, like playing video games. Like it was a great, I don't know, they're great together.
Yeah. It almost sounds like they're like a little bit of like a married couple. They're like, oh, they're great together. They're so cute.
I'm so happy for them. I wish they would have kept the dish set I got for them, but you know, it is what it is.
You know, I think they're they're separated now. You know, the divorce isn't final, but
they still talk occasionally. You know, Mike will show up and Gutex is still around, so you'll hear from them.
End of the day, they still love each other.
Speaking of a married couple, a conglomeration, if you will, Capcom has decided to fold all of their media ventures into Capcom Media Ventures. It's incredible.
that was hilarious. Yeah, this news article literally came out yesterday. So this was really hot. Like I was looking at it today and I found it and I was like, what is this? But
this was added to the show notes minutes before we got on the mic together. I looked at the show notes one time and I went, oh, that's new. And immediately I was like scrambling, like, all right, give me like 5 more minutes. Like I need to know what this is.
I mean, that's how I felt too. I was like, wait a second. I need to know this. This seems like pretty breaking news and that we should kind of cover it. So there should be a little breaking news, little bar at the bottom be like, breaking news. Capcom conglomerates all their media ventures into Capcom Media Ventures.
So I don't know if it's really like the biggest of news. Essentially what they'll be doing is they're now overseeing the Capcom Pro Tour, the Street Fighter League, and probably the biggest news to come out of this is that they're expanding to create college and amateur leagues, it sounds like, for Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, that's that. Well, also I want to add on to this. They're looking to do TV shows and like other forms of media as well.
Right.
But college and amateur leagues, that's hefty. Like it's college and amateur leagues is way different when you start looking at it from like a fighting game perspective versus like a normal, you know, Overwatch or, you know, other kind of League of Legends or like any team-based kind of game where like, excuse me, FGC is always about the solo player and, well, I won't say always about the solo player because we have team events, but it's usually about the solo player and in an open bracket, you know, a fish in the sea, you know, or like a salmon in a stream trying to go upstream. I think it's the best analogy I can do for that. And it's not always the easiest path, but like, you know, some go through, some make it and, you know, live long, happy lives and then, you know, pass on their genes, I guess, if we're going with the same analogy.
But pass on their genes. We're Nogarremi.
Look, I started talking about salmon and when they swim upstream, that's when they go to like fertilize their eggs and then like new salmon come and they're born and swim downstream. It was a rough analogy. I rolled with it too long. I get it.
I mean, I wanted to let you keep going. Unfortunately,
No, bail me out. We're partners.
All right. Okay. So
You're in the boat with me.
college and amateur leagues, which is super exciting, and I think the Street Fighter League, and with people like Rob TV, who have stated very recently in an interview that like he thinks that the team concept is for the greater good of the FGC. You know, you can invest in a team, you can see these things. And the idea of a college team, you know, for someone like me who's a gigantic fan of the University of Miami Hurricanes, like let's say you have them and like, oh man, the Miami Hurricanes are playing against the Georgia Bulldogs this weekend. Like they both have a Street Fighter team. Automatically, I'm invested. I don't watch college like baseball or basketball that much.
Right.
But as soon as Miami is playing, I'm like, yeah, it's Miami. Like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, I'll roll up with Miami anytime. Like, that's my boys. Like, immediately. And, like, I have no vested interest in, like, baseball. But, like, immediately I'm like, yeah, Miami's winning the pennant. Like, I don't care. They're going to win the series. So, like, the ability to translate that to Street Fighter, where you're immediately like, yeah, like, that's where I graduated from. Like, I'll support Penn State's, like, Street Fighter team. And no matter what Joe Paterno did. But, like, that's a way to unify people. And, like, the amateur league, the Street Fighter League for Japan had amateurs. I think the amateurs, the younger class, and then like the pros. I believe I could have that wrong.
That sounds right.
But like the amateur, and especially with the area of pushing TV and or like a TV style show, this could be our chance to have like, you know, Joe's dream of having Jamie Lee Curtis finally playing Street Fighter on stream, like. This we could finally get there to where we have like some celebrities who have a passing interest and we match them up, like the team of Daigo and Jamie Lee Curtis versus Jack Black and Taquito. Like we could finally get to this point.
Oh God, I mean, E-League did that to a certain extent. Like they had, you know, Shaq on there and a couple other of less famous people that I can't remember, and I feel kind of embarrassed about this. But they would do those segments. Where they would have like two celebrities go up against each other, not like on a team, but like I think they had a coach and they would play against each other.
Right.
And I don't know. Personally, that's not what I'm invested in. Although looking at it from an outside kind of perspective, you see, you know, a celebrity that you're invested in, like you like their work. And then they, you know, do the Street Fighter event. That could be the turning point for a lot of people,
right?
And like me not liking it is me from the inside being like, well, I like all the storylines we already have, but that's not all the storylines that even just in Street Fighter 5, they're not apparent, and on the surface of like, oh, this is interesting, I should check this out. Like that's. Like the storylines are more for the people who are already here than the people who are coming in.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's, I don't know. It's hard to say what Capcom is doing internally because we don't really have an idea. But I think this is kind of trying to reach out to a casual fan base and pull some in and like not generate storylines for us necessarily, but to be like to have the average person be like, hey, like, what's going on with Street Fighter? Like, what is this thing? I'm like, I saw this viral clip of, you know, someone mashing out a super move that I didn't know was a thing. So I don't think it's for us.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, the FGC will be a part of it and will kind of help form these storylines for college and amateur leagues. But in terms of the people they're looking to attract as an audience, it's definitely not us. Like, basically with college and amateur league and going with like a team style event like SFL, you're looking to get an audience in seats, you know, selling tickets and to cheer, and you're not looking for the open bracket experience.
Right. That being said, I don't know. Hopefully it'll come to fruition soon, and you know we'll have it'll be a success, and we can finally see where it's going.
The hardest part about the getting esports into the FGC and these big companies getting the money and returns that they want to see out of it When they start comparing, oh, like, look, I'm spending this much money into fighting games. I'm spending the same amount into fighting games as I am into Overwatch, but I'm getting like 400% return on Overwatch, and I'm losing 50% on fighting games. That can be a rough way to look at the numbers, but that's what companies do. They're like, I can for the same amount of dollars, I can get way more return. So why am I here in this genre?
Right.
And that happens because it's so like, I hate to draw on wrestling and like other traditional sports, but like you look at wrestling and the storylines that they have to tell, to like keep people interested and to keep it rolling. That's basically what fighting games have to do, but we have so many people because it's open bracket, and we're looking at having way more competitors than we have spectators at this moment.
Right.
And it's just difficult to manage all of this and to get it to a stable point where you can return numbers to a company and be like, look, this is why you should invest here. Like, we have this many people filling the seats to support this many people. Like, so like you need to sponsor this player with this product to get these people to see it, and you'll get about this return with these people buying your product. Those numbers are hard to get with how the FGC currently stands.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we're supposed to do to fix it. I think that if you try to just, like, if the Capcom Pro Tour immediately switched in a year or two to just like team only kind of events, I don't think the community would like that for Street Fighter, whether it be Street Fighter 5 or Street Fighter 6. It feels like not what fighting games are. And as fun as like running 2v2 cross Tekken tournaments are, Street Fighter cross Tekken tournaments are, they're not, it's not what fighting games, it's not what the heart of fighting games or like the FGC is really about, in my opinion.
Yeah, and with our small numbers in the first place, like, it's very hard to bring someone in and be like, don't you want to learn these fighting games? Like, no, I don't want to have to sit here and learn frame data. Like, it's very hard to draw people into this. So we are already a small group, and expecting large numbers from a small group like the FGC, I think, is unreasonable. I think it's possible, but to expect it to happen immediately is unreasonable. I don't really know where I want to go with this, or how to say it out loud without sounding like a complete buffoon. So I will say this. I think the FGC as a grassroots community, and with like the events that like anyone could prop up and like you get people to go to, it's super super nice. And the idea of esports coming in, and like we are expecting this return on investment when, like, as we talked about earlier, like, yeah, these guys signed up for the tournament, but they just kind of ghosted. So like we are already short these amount of players. Like, it's kind of hard.
Right. And I think like I'm as I'm sitting here thinking about like the structure of what could go on, I'm like, okay, so if we do like larger scale Street Fighter League, excuse me, this beer is really creeping back up on me. Like, I'm getting a lot of burps now. But if we do a larger scale SFL, across like all the countries, and that's like our pro league is like SFL, and then we have this amateur league where amateurs can come up, and if they win like a certain number of tournaments, then like, oh hey, we'll start promoting you to like be a part of a team in SFL kind of thing. Maybe if like, but I personally don't like that the pro events are all just like, would be like, locked to these teams, and like other people can't compete. It really,
Right.
It discourages the openness that the FGC has, and it also discourages these pro players to enter other tournaments if like they're day in day out playing in like SFL league style stuff, and making that kind of content. It's, I don't know, I feel like it's a slippery slope once we start going down it, and then all of a sudden you have 5v5 Street Fighter games.
Right. It's oh boy.
all KOF styled.
I mean, look, I would play a KOF style Street Fighter. Like, I'm down, but like but that's like a fun mini game. You know, that's what I want as a game mode in Street Fighter 5. I don't want that to be Street Fighter 6.
Right.
That's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for solid netcode and apparently 58 characters, even though people can't play one.
Yeah, that was oh god. It was a problem with Street Fighter 4 where we had 44 characters and everyone was like, "Oh, it's just too many characters." And then you look at Street Fighter 5 and it's just like only launched with 16? That's crazy. What about all these characters I love?
Yeah, well, now we're at 35 and people are still requesting more. Meanwhile, Ken, who's been around for 25 years, just got a character guide that's more in-depth than anyone will ever do. No
Right.
one's going to utilize it.
But
to
when
the
does he
full
get a new
extent that they
face?
possibly can. Yeah, exactly. But the banana hair, okay. Like, put the cowboy hat on then. Play the game.
Oh god. I simultaneously love and hate the cowboy outfit.
When I first saw that thing, I didn't think it was real. I thought it like someone had bought the game and I was like in the Matrix and I was seeing something on their end that I shouldn't be seeing, because it blew me away how crazy that was in Street Fighter 5. And then as soon as I could buy it, immediately I bought it. I don't even play Ken, but I had to buy it. Like, support the culture.
Do you know what did it for me? When I was just like, this shouldn't be a thing. Why is this a thing? B-Boy Ryu. Single-handedly the worst Ryu costume. To this day, I hate it. I'll never buy it out of refusal to support such an inappropriate wrongdoing of my character.
It's the most atrocious costume in the history of Street Fighter costumes. It is awful.
I'm not Flavor Flav. I don't want a clock on my chest. I don't want this. Not even like a beanie. It's some lowbrow hat that looks like garbage.
Second only to that B-Boy Ryu is kicked out of the club Chun-Li. And like, that's...
Oh my god, that's too true.
Those two costumes, like, I appreciate that y'all went out and did it. Like, y'all really went out there and put that to the world, but stop. Like, rein that one back in.
All right, but let's spin this into a more positive light. And I want to ask you this question, right? What do you think is your favorite Street Fighter 5 costume, or costume in any game? Like, let's just go any game. What's your favorite costume in any game?
Oh, favorite costume in any game. Oh man. Okay. So Zangief had that like biohazard suit in Street Fighter 4. They have like the gas mask.
Oh right. I forgot about that.
That was incredible. I love that one quite a bit. The E Honda turtle outfit in Street Fighter 4.
That's a classic.
That's a wonderful classic. Abigail's Halloween costume from this past year, color 9, the purple one where he's got like Mike Wazowski in his chest.
Oh
yeah. That one does something for me.
That's solid as well.
That's another good one. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Oh, and then when they gave Yoshimitsu tentacles, I think in like Tekken 4, like that's a decent costume, albeit a generic costume, but it's a good costume nonetheless. That one's pretty solid.
I mean, that's quite a list you have of favorite costumes.
Look, man, I just like video game aesthetics like do something for me. Like, not in a sexual way. I'm not getting my rocks off, but like I enjoy the look. Like, because for so long, I first started like really competing in fighting games last year, but for the longest time, like I've been playing fighting games like my entire life. Like of any genre that I've played outside of like The Legend of Dragoon, fighting games were it. Like Street Fighter 2, Alpha 3, Third Strike, I guess a little bit, but like anything I could get my hands on if it was a fighting game, like Mace the Dark Age on Nintendo 64, like I'm in there, like I'm playing it. And for so long, you only see like the same character, but with different colors, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then Marvel vs. Capcom came along, and Akuma became a cyber demon. And immediately I was like, well, the sky is opened up. Any character can be anything. And then Street Fighter 4 rolled around, and like that's where I really started to see different outfits on characters. And immediately I was like, this is like I could just look at a museum list of alternate costumes for characters, and I would just lose my mind. Like it's incredible.
How do you feel about the way Street Fighter 5 does costumes versus how Street Fighter 4 did costumes?
I thought we were doing positive show. No,
I had to pick your brain. Okay, I already put the positive spin on the costumes. It's time to dive back into negative. You can talk about how you can put a positive spin on it. Talk about how great the Street Fighter 4 costume system was.
I really enjoyed the Street Fighter 4 costumes. To be honest with you, I don't have a problem really with the Street Fighter 5 costumes. Are they pricey? Yes. But the cool thing about it is you don't need to buy all of them. Like, yes, it's an exorbitant amount of money. I'm still not sure I said that word right. It's crazy amount of money to buy every single costume in the game, but like you don't really have to. And especially you don't want to end up with something with like Alex's Halloween costume. Like that's atrocious.
That's all right. But how do you feel about Chun-Li having like 18 costumes and then Fong got the Verbo costume. What's a character that doesn't like a lot of these characters just like you look at their costume list and it's just like 3 or 4 deep and it's just like come on, like
well we all got ad style. That's important. We all have ad style now. But no,
that's not an extra costume.
That really well, I mean it gives Abigail a championship belt, so say what you will. That really does irk me quite a bit. Is that, oh, hey, little one, special guest, my daughter decided to run in. Hey, why don't you go take off for a minute? The small amount of costumes for every character does drive me crazy. Like, I wish there were more that were available out.
Hey,
out there.
If you need to take a break, we can like stop and restart.
Okay. You know what? Leave it in. I don't care. Everyone,
right.
You meet my daughter and her sounds in the background. Like, sorry.
Keeping it real.
My studio is my bedroom. Where was I? Oh yeah. I wish there was like evenly dispersed costumes. Like, I hate that Chun-Li has 18 costumes. It drives me bananas. And like 4 of them are good. So like take the energy that you put there and put it onto other characters. Like the idea that G like is a super unique character and has 3 costumes. I know he just came out a couple months ago, but like give him it. Like put him in an Easter Bunny outfit. I don't care.
So already got an extra costume and he came out the same time as G.
Kage has an extra costume.
And he came out after.
Yeah, like give G something. Like it doesn't have to make sense. None of the costumes have ever, made sense to be extra. Like we don't need a reference. Like we don't need a crossover.
Right.
Crossovers are cool. I appreciate it. Make Abigail into Sigma from Mega Man X. Just throwing that out there. But like, or the General, whatever. Like they don't have to make sense. Like throw something weird on them. Like if you wanted to like make G out to be Tonto, and like he's got feathers and whatnot, like that's fine. He's president of the world. Like he's a man of the people. Like give him whatever costume you want. Spread it out. Like just give everyone something. And for the love of God, give Abigail a swimsuit costume already.
Oh God, no! Please,
that's
no.
all I've been waiting for.
We already have Zangief. We don't need more.
I want the tires to be like little floaties.
Okay,
like,
that's a little cool. I was just picturing like Abigail and like like the Zangief kind of Speedo, and I was like, please no, I don't want that in my life.
No, I want like the beach trunks, and like he's got like floaties. Like I'm down with that. Like just give me something weird,
Yeah, and
that's the best costumes are the weird costumes.
And like Capcom's like, okay, we're not gonna like we're gonna see how the characters are played, and then like make costumes for like the characters that are played more, so that we can get more money that way, or like the characters that we see the most return on getting revenue when we release the costume for them. But sometimes releasing a super dope costume for a character will get people to play that character more, will get people to buy the costume. Like if you just put out good content, people buy it.
Oh, 100%. I bought that roll costume for Sakura. I think I've played Sakura twice. But like, I bought that costume. Like, if it's a good costume, I'm gonna buy it. Like,
Yeah, that's it. Like, you, Capcom does a lot right, and Capcom does a lot wrong, and I feel like more is just like asking too much of people to listen in this podcast. So I don't really have any other questions unless you have anything else.
No, I think we've gone over everything. I think even with the spare amount of notes that we entered with, we've already gone over an hour, something like that. I don't know. I'm not made of clocks. I can't tell what the time is.
I did my job.
Perfect.
But just want to end the show with, where can people find you, Mr. SrirachaFlash?
Everywhere. I'm SrirachaFlash everywhere on the planet. Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Lowe's.com, LinkedIn, wherever. SrirachaFlash, you'll find me. I'm around. If you see me on Abigail's shoulders, just swing by, say hi.
I gotta clear this up. You're on LinkedIn as SrirachaFlash. Not even I'm that crazy.
No, whenever I do Twitch streams, I'll usually sign off with like a random collection of websites. So like HNRBlock.com, SamsClub.com, @SrirachaFlash. Follow me there. Get the
follow me on CircuitCity.com.
Yeah, exactly. CircuitCity.com. Catch me on eBomb's World @SrirachaFlash. Like just stuff like that. So I just throw it out there. Speaking of which, look, I haven't done one of these in like a couple of months, but if you're out there, if you play Street Fighter, I'm not great, but I like to play, and I like to do first to tens. So if you would like to play a first to 10 with me, stream it, and we'll talk and we'll laugh, and we'll probably have beers during the competition. Like, hit me up. Like, I'd love to. Anybody. I'll make a poster. I'll do everything. I'll make a trailer. I've done like 30 of these at this point. And they're all for fun. I
got time after the show if you really want to run this set.
Look, man, I got kids I got to go feed. Like,
that's true. That's true. I'm sorry. You're an adult.
Yeah, I got a teenager and like a small child out there. Like, I got to go yell at after this for breaking into the studio. But
don't beat her too hard, okay?
Nah, she's fine. She knows what she did. I'll give her the brow beating. Like, I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed.
You'll give her the death stare, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, congratulations, you're going to community college now. Like, that's what I'm gonna throw at her. She's only 3, but she'll understand.
That's some dark stuff. I do not condone this, for the record, people. Neither does r/Street Fighter.
The views and opinions expressed by SrirachaFlash.
Oh God, I don't think we need to go that
far. But yeah, hit me up. Let's play some games, man. Like, I'm down. Let's play first to tens all day, every day.
God, wow. I'm not sure you can commit to that because you already told me no today.
Well, I said no like immediately. Like, if you want to hit me up at like 9, then yeah, look, let's run it. Like, it's fine.
All right, but that's going to be a show, folks. You can find me at Nogarremi on Twitter, Nogarremi on Twitch. Those are the 2 places you can find me. Nothing crazy for me. I'm not on Circuit City. I'm not on H&R Block. Just those 2, Twitter and Twitch. I keep the alliteration strong in where I am. And that's a show. Anything else you want to say?
No, yeah. Sorry, you said that's the show. Now I'm just rambling. Thanks for having me on. Thank you, Joe, for letting me fill in with my rambling nonsense. Thank you, Nogarremi, for me being like, let's do this, and you immediately hopped on. Like, I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me.
The easiest thing to get me to do is something that Joe does normally, and he's unavailable.
Oh, yeah. Joe Monday's not here. We need to call it Joe Mundane. Get him up on the schedule. We got him right here.
Please. It's Giuseppe Munday.
Giuseppe Munday.
Giuseppe Munday. I'm coming live at you from an undisclosed location. I don't know if I could talk in this accent for an hour, or if anybody would even listen to me.
Giuseppe, is Mike Ross down there in the bunker with you?
No, he's in bunker 4A. I'm in 5E.
Giuseppe, no.
But yeah.
All right. And good bits. All right, we're done
in the
with that.
in the show. See you
We're
later,
outta here.
everybody.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.